Raphael Bossong is an expert on terrorism and crisis management at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs here in Berlin. Well, welcome to DW. So what are we learning about the main suspect, Brenton Tarrant?
Well, we don't have any independent information yet on who this person is. Self-described, he is a working man, an Australian who didn't go to university and describes himself as an average person who just believes in racist, white supremacist ideas and thought he had to take action. So unfortunately, I can't provide you with any other further information now, and it is actually also, I think, responsible to wait, because as we heard from the police, there may be also another person potentially involved.
There's been talk of some sort of manifesto that he published. What have we heard about that?
Well, this is true. I would underline what was just said about spreading material. Thank goodness this isn't available that easily anymore. But yes, there is a 70-page something manifesto where he sets out his worldview. It's actually quite savvy, trying to speak to different audiences, sort of anticipating a lot of questions of what would be asked about his motives. And basically, he espouses this idea that there is a great replacement, that the white population has to defend itself against other races, other immigrants that have a higher birth rate. That's his essential motivation, according to this manifesto.
There is a similarity here between this attack in New Zealand and the attack some years ago perpetrated by Anders Breivik in Norway. You have countries where renowned for being quite peaceful that are suddenly rent by this sort of violent extremism. Can one country learn from another?
Well, if we can learn something from Norway, then it is really to maintain an open and free society, because Norway actually reacted very stably. I mean, everybody was shocked and there was a great deal of mourning, but there wasn't a rush to sort of increase surveillance or sort of have any kind of further security measures in place. I mean, the first responders had to upgrade their game, but beyond that, I think the liberal order of Norway was upheld, and I think New Zealand should do the same. The perpetrator just apparently chose New Zealand because A, it was accessible, and B, apparently because the church was previously a church that was repurposed into a mosque, and that was something he saw as a symbolic target. Beyond that, I don't think there is a reason why New Zealand was attacked.
It's interesting you make that point about Norway. We heard from Jacinda Ardern there saying that New Zealand will not be changed by this attack. But countries are. Certainly here in Europe, where these attacks have happened, you see a much greater police presence. You see suspicion on the streets. But that didn't happen in Norway.
Not in the sense that there was a presence on the street with armed guards, or that there was a push for more intelligence bulk surveillance. But this is not to say there aren't things to be done. And I think in particular, in this instance, this will renew the debate about the responsibility or the possible role of platforms where this kind of information is shared. The attack was live streamed. This was unfortunately a new thing, and I fear this may be not the last time. So that's a debate we have to have, but that doesn't mean that we should step back from a free and open society where we roundly condemn all sorts of racism and this extremism.
And on that debate, is there more that platforms like Facebook can or should do when events like this are live streamed in this way?
It's not something that can be asked very quickly. I mean, the European Union, for example, is at the moment considering a law to force platforms to take down content within an hour if it's been declared terrorist, and then otherwise they would incur heavy fines. And that does potentially make sense in a context like this. But on the other hand, of course, that raises again the question, is that realistic? Isn't it already out when it's out and then it's shared anyway? What was the risk of censorship? So that debate is not at the end yet. But I think we still are in the process of finding a rebalance. These platforms moving in earlier, and I think that's certainly something that needs to be done, also in the process of radicalization, but also not going so far to say we have to take out everything the minute it appears.
Good talking to you. Thank you for joining us, Raphael Bossong from the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Thank you.